This video is just explaining the data I used to make the claim. Compared to smaller trees, we found that larger trees accumulate bird species richness at a rate even greater than their increase in availability of dead branch, lateral branch, and small radius branch resources. And you just asked, how did I determine that? So to explain this, I will first I'll first explain the pattern behind the claim that I'm making, and then I'll explain how I generated the values for that pattern. So what I'm doing is basically measuring the difference between the ratio of raw structural resources in a large tree and how many small and medium trees comprise that, and the ratio of species weighted structural resources in a large tree and how many small and medium trees comprise that. Firstly, I'll explain just the raw structural resources. So if we go into if we zoom into just say dead branches, we can see that a small tree has an average of 3.6 meters of dead branches, a medium tree has an average of 43 dead branches, and a large tree has an average of 64 meters of dead branches. So for our ratios, which is simply just the, a large tree divided by small trees, we can see that the dead branches in a large tree, it takes 1.6 medium trees dead branches to make up the dead branches in a large tree, and 8.3 small tree dead branches to make up the cumulative length of dead branches in a large tree. And so that's the blue line, where you can see that it starts with 1, which is just the ratio of a large tree in a large tree, which is 1, the ratio of a medium tree in a large tree, which is 1.6, and the ratio of a small tree's dead branches to make up a large tree, which is 8.5 small trees are required for a large tree. So that's the first pattern, which is just raw structural resources. And I've repeated that. I've done that for all branches. So total branch length, total dead branches, which I just explained then, lateral branches, and small radius branches. The second portion of what I'm looking at is what I'm calling the species weighted structural scores. And to explain that, I just want to zoom into a branch. So if we've got a dead branch and it's got a length of 0.5 meters, then it would give that tree, the tree that it belongs to, plus 0.5 meters of its dead branches. So when I'm calculating the cumulative length of dead branches, this branch would contribute 0.5 meters for that. But but this tree also has 5 unique species in its matching observations. So for its species weighted score for dead branches, I multiply the length by the number of unique species. If it had 2 species, then this species weighted score would be 0.5 times 2. And so clearly the raw numbers are much higher when I've got this species weighting, because then what I do is just sum up all the individual branches species weighted scores for each tree. And so, there's obviously, because they're being multiplied by the number of unique species, they're much greater. The raw numbers are much larger. However, what I'm interested in is comparing the ratios. So if we look at the ratio of medium trees in a large tree, you can see that jumps up to 1.8 medium trees in a large tree if we're looking at this species weighted dead branches, and a whopping 102 small trees in a large tree. And so that's this pattern, this orange pattern here. And so that's how I'm making that claim that large trees accumulate bird species richness at a greater rate than they accumulate dead branch structural resources. So this is specifically looking at dead branches. I've also got that pattern for just total branch length. So looking at the raw number of medium trees in large trees and small trees in large trees when I'm looking at the total number of branches in comparison to the species weighted or species adjusted branch length. So that goes up to 34 from 8.35. And then I've done it for dead branches, lateral branches, small branches, medium branches, and large branches in this table. So there you can see here are the averages of for small, medium, and large trees for each of those raw structural resources, and then the species weighted scores and the ratios. And I just made this graph to kind of illustrate that pattern a bit more